what's going on? Welcome to CineFix. We are talking about the Oscar nominations today. Oscar nominations came out, what, Wednesday? A couple days ago?
I don't know what day it is anymore.
It's hard to tell. We just got back from Sundance. It was all I could do to not wear shorts today. Point is, Oscar nominations came out. It's obviously a very exciting time for film fans, so we're going to just...
Yeah, look how excited we are.
Look at how excited we are. So we're going to run through some of the major categories and make our predictions, our official... like chisel it into stone. CineFix
I was not aware we were making our predictions, so I gotta really put my thinking cap on.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. Think about it harder.
I'll jump right into it.
People are gonna hold you to what you say in this video.
All right.
Care more.
You're gonna have
starting
this video
now.
notarized once the final cut is in.
Okay.
I've got a notary public outside waiting to put a stamp on this little bit of internet. So we're going to start the way the broadcast is going to do it. We'll start with the supporting actor and actress category.
Sure.
So best supporting actor, we've got Mahershala Ali for Moonlight. We got Jeff Bridges, Hell or High Water. Lucas Hedges for Manchester by the Sea. Dev Patel for Lion, and Michael Shannon for Nocturnal Animals.
I think the theme of this year's Oscars, when it came to nominations and when it comes to wins, is really pretty predictable. This one's like one of the more locked-in categories in a year when a lot of the categories are pretty locked in.
I think that's exactly what they want you to believe.
And listen, I've said this before and been totally wrong. And there are surprises in store every year, and there have been some really big ones of late. But this one is Mahershala Ali's to lose. It's just very, very clear to me that
I certainly hope
this is
so.
his category.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the one who should win. He's the one who will win.
Which
he's
is
the one
rarely
who
the case.
Always thought was going to win, and I just don't think that there's a whole lot of wiggle room here for this.
Yeah.
I would love to see Michael Shannon's speech. I'd like to see him get up there and get fiery about, whatever's going on in the world right now.
Yeah. Michael Shannon in Nocturnal Animals, I will say, is one of my favorite performances of the year. I'm happy to see him included on this list, but I agree with you. I think it's going to be Ali for sure.
I agree with you, Dickie. I think Mahershala Ali is the should win and will win pick. I have not seen Lion, but I'm surprised to see Dev Patel in the supporting role. I was under the impression he's the main guy.
He shows up really late in the movie.
Ah, is that a spoiler?
Yeah, there's a lot of movie that happens before he's
on the poster.
arrives.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean that he's, I mean, that's why I think he's in the right category here.
Okay.
But I also think that's maybe why he's at a bit of a disadvantage.
And
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges is Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
He was great Jeff Bridges. He gave us some great Jeff Bridges in Hell or High Water.
Say Jeff Bridges a few more times.
Jeff
Say it was
Bridges
peak Jeff
gave
Bridges.
us some...
Jeff Bridges!
You guys talking about Jeff Bridges?
You're talking about Jeff Bridges? And then Lucas Hedges, I was surprised to see in here too. Like he was, Manchester by the Sea was, it was a tough movie to watch. It's very sad, and he was fine.
I thought he was quite good. He reminds me of a little ginger Matt Damon. I don't know what it is, but
Okay.
I feel like he's like kind of like the same tribe as Matt Damon, but
Sure.
with red hair. I thought he was quite talented in it, but I just don't see it happening. I don't know what the Vegas odds are on any of these. I didn't have time to look that up before we shot this, but it's not going to be.
I feel like he sort of rode the movie's coattails a little bit into this nomination. But
He did sneak into this category. I mean, I think people thought, listen, I thought he was wonderful. He's going to be playing me in my eventual biopic
Sure.
as the younger version of me.
You're right.
But I do think he kind of snuck in, and he deserves to be here,
Sure.
but is not going to come anywhere near the statue.
It's going to be Moonlight. It's going to be Mahershala Ali.
Sweet.
Prediction.
Agreed.
Wait, we're supposed to agree on all these? Oh,
You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree. It just needs to be to be at least a simple majority. So 3
Much
of the
like
4.
America, this is
Yeah.
no longer a democracy. Best supporting actor?
Best Supporting Actress: Viola Davis from Fences, Naomi Harris for Moonlight, Nicole Kidman from Lion, Octavia Spencer from Hidden Figures, and Michelle Williams from Manchester by the Sea. I think it's going to be Michelle Williams.
Also not in the movie that much, but
Yeah.
she might pull a Dame Judi Dench.
Yeah, I
We
think
need
it's
a
going to be
few
one of those,
minutes,
like,
screen
there's
time.
kind of one key scene in particular where you're like, well, that's the Oscar.
Totally disagree with you guys on this one.
Yeah?
I think Viola Davis is walking away with this in Fences, in no small part because she actually really is kind of a co-lead in the movie. There was some controversy about whether or not she should have been put up for lead
I
actress,
haven't
and they
seen
put her up for
Fences yet,
supporting.
but I was surprised to see her in
She
supporting
is
again.
a force in this movie, and honestly, I think when the movie came out, everybody went, okay, well that, supporting is locked. That's a done deal. But I feel very strongly that Viola wins this,
Yeah.
and I think
she
it
won the
would be a
Golden
bit
Globe
of a,
too, right?
She did, and I think it would be a bit of a tragedy if she didn't. I just look at these others, like Nicole Kidman. Nobody's talking about her.
No.
Naomi Harris was wonderful in Moonlight, but it's a significant but smaller part.
Yeah.
And Octavia Spencer's part of an ensemble. You could have picked any of those ladies from that film, and so I don't think that there's any way she gets that. And like you said, Michelle Williams, very brief. role.
Yeah. The only reason that I won't be surprised if Michelle Williams wins is there's always one category that's like that, where somebody it's usually and it's usually in the best supporting actress or best actress category. It's always like somebody sneaks in there, and it's like everybody votes for the one that you don't think is going to win. So it wouldn't surprise me if she wins, but ultimately you're probably right.
Yeah, I mean, having seen Manchester but not having seen Fences, I actually am inclined to agree with you. I feel like with Viola Davis over the past couple of years, basically since The Help, anytime she's nominated, it's hers to lose.
Yeah.
So for that reason alone, I feel like it's going to be her. Plus, she does more heavy lifting in terms of minutes.
Right.
So Michelle Williams, I would say, is my, whatever the Vegas odds would work out to be, I would feel like she's got the second best chance. But it's between those two, and I would say Viola.
Yeah, Viola's the smart money here. It's a really dynamic.
I'm gonna take their word for it since I haven't seen it.
Okay, well then my vote doesn't even count.
But from the trailers,
So that's
I'm like, all right.
That's our prediction for supporting actress is Viola Davis. Okay, so moving on to the screenplay category. The best original screenplay, Hell or High Water, La La Land, The Lobster, Manchester by the Sea, and 20th Century Women.
I was surprised to see The Lobster in here, but really happy for it.
Surprised to see The
because it was
Lobster.
just such a weird, quirky movie. We talked about it before, but I'm kind of excited for that one. But I mean, I don't know if it'll hold up against those others.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if The Lobster will win just because it's almost too high concept in a way. It's so strange and a little bit offbeat that the Academy might be bristling and clutching their pearls at it. I don't know. But
it does speak to the fact that it's hard to find really good original screenplays.
Absolutely.
Everything is adapted from something else. So like even a movie like The Lobster has a chance to sneak in there.
I think the will win is La La Land, and I think the should win is Hell or High Water. Taylor Sheridan for the win, but he won't win. It'll be Damien Chazelle.
I would have said you're crazy, except that La La Land won the Golden Globe for original screenplay, which was a shock to me.
I feel like it's got so much momentum.
I love the movie, but it's not the screenplay that's the strength of the film. It's the music and the performances. This is a funny category because there are a couple of this is one that's really up in the air. I think you throw out The Lobster, throw that one is right out the window. There's no way that one's going to win. The Academy really likes Hell or High Water. This is a group of people who really appreciated that movie, and I mean, just reading about and talking to people, I think they're going to favor that film, and it's got a very, very good chance. But that Manchester by the Sea screenplay is sort of they're out for not voting for that for Best Picture in other categories. That's the place where I think that Ken Lonergan has a chance.
I gotta go for Hell or High Water because of what you said. I think this is going to be the only thing that Hell or High Water wins.
I certainly hope it wins.
I mean, La La Land has 14 nominations. It's going to win, what, 8, 9 of them probably? 9, I think this is one that they don't get specifically because this is the Academy's opportunity to reward Hell or High Water. I don't think it's going to win Best Picture. I don't think Jeff Bridges is going to win, but it'll get something.
Okay.
Does it have 3?
I like what you're saying, and I like how you're saying it to me, because if Hell or High Water wins, I'll feel validated personally, because I love that movie so much, so I hope you're right. But I think it got 3 out of 4 votes already anyway. Yeah,
so.
I do kind of feel like it could still be Manchester. I think you're right about that too, in terms of the sort of, let's throw them a bone situation with La La Land winning so many other categories, which I think it will.
So adapted screenplay, Arrival, Fences, Hidden Figures, Lion, and Moonlight.
I think it'll be Moonlight.
I do too.
I would agree. This is another one where I feel like they want to get Moonlight as much as they can on the margins of La La Land's huge,
without giving it a real award, like
right,
give it a,
right, and and I think Barry Jenkins actually kind of has an outside shot at winning director too. But if he doesn't, then this one is a lock.
I really loved the screenplay for Arrival. You know, if it gets beat out by a better film, like I'm fine with that. But I'll vote for Arrival because I did love it so much, and the screenplay was so smart and just loved it. We had the writer here actually.
Eric Kaiser.
Eric Kaiser.
Talked to him about it. But
there's also a lot of heavy lifting off of the short story that it's based on. I mean, there's a big leap between the short story and the screenplay, and a lot of ingenuity that happened in that process. That's not necessarily the case with these others. So.
But it's got a real shot. But I do think that ultimately it's going to be Moonlight. I'm with you. I'm kind of rooting for Arrival just because that movie hit me at exactly the right point in my life for it to like really knock me on my ass. But I think it's going to be Moonlight.
We just keep agreeing on stuff.
Oh man, this is not nearly as interesting as I thought.
Just wait till we get to the La La Land categories.
Okay, so moving from there, Best Actor. Casey Affleck, Manchester by the Sea. Andrew Garfield from Hacksaw Ridge.
Yes.
Sneaking in there.
That's
Gosling
not the most surprising nomination.
Gosling from La La Land. Viggo Mortensen, Captain Fantastic, and Denzel Washington from Fences. So it's not going to be Andrew Garfield.
I think it's going to be the Goss.
It's got to be the Goss.
Yeah.
The big three, the actor, actress, picture trifecta, I don't see how La La Land isn't going to sweep that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Although, you know, as much as I was slightly let down by The Nice Guys, I feel like he was much better in that, honestly.
Yeah.
If he were going to be nominated this year, I feel like it should have been for The Nice Guys, but
Wouldn't that have been amazing if he got nominated for The Nice Guys out of
not
nowhere?
La La Land.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes when an actor makes 2 movies and he's good in both of them and nominated for one, the other one really does sort of help out.
Yeah.
And there is a little bit of extra juice on him for his sort of emerging body of work. And this was weird because the Golden Globes split obviously between musical, comedy, and drama. Casey Affleck wins the drama. I still think Casey Affleck is the front runner for this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. His performance was very subtle, and it was really the most buzzed about performance of this year. I think more so than anything. La La Land's a more buzzed about movie, but this performance in part was more talked about, and I think is the leading performance, frankly, by a good piece. Except there's that little thing with the sex harassment cases, which frankly I was first to report about back in September, and nobody picked up on it, and then all of a sudden it started to get a little bit of traction, and now it's a thing. Constance Wu just made a big thing about it. We have other women stepping forward saying, don't support this guy, don't support this movie, because I do think that is going to dent his, and you know, there's a certain amount of women who do vote for Academy Awards, and I think it's going to dent his credibility with them. So this one's kind of up in the air. I would have said, without the case, that this was Casey Affleck's absolutely to lose, but with that case picking up some steam, it's starting to become a 2-man race.
I just think with La La Land just dominating the nominations the way that they have, I think Gosling is the easy choice, and that's the one that's the one they're going to do.
I mean, between these two sexual harassment cases, just taking aside for a moment there, I would say Casey Affleck, you know, obviously had a lot more heavy lifting to do. I know singing and dancing and being a triple threat is hard and everything, but I mean, the performance there was just so mercurial and had such an inner life, whereas, you know, Ryan Gosling was like a lot of this kind of stuff. But I think he will still win, especially since Casey Affleck is dealing with all of these issues in terms of PR.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe not the strongest performance, but because of the La La Land machine that's going to be happening, you think that maybe he might take it?
Yeah.
You're saying maybe no?
So we're agreeing it's not going to be Viggo Mortensen.
It's not going to be Viggo Mortensen.
Oh, what?
And it's not going to be Andrew Garfield either. I was surprised, and we'll get into this some more, I was surprised at the amount of love that Hacksaw Ridge got.
Yeah.
But
we'll
we
get
can
to
get
that
it. We'll
in
get
one
to
more
that
category.
in just a second. Best Actress: Isabelle Huppert for Elle, Ruth Negga for Loving, Natalie Portman for Jackie, Emma Stone for La La Land, Meryl Streep for Florence Foster Jenkins.
Emma Stone. I mean, there's just no way around it.
And for me, this was one of those moments that reminded me of watching Les Miserables and seeing
Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway's kind of main solo, and I'm like, give that woman the Oscar right now.
Just give
and
it
there's a number in where I felt the exact same way.
I would say that Isabelle Huppert probably would be the very, very, like the third, the real dark horse that I wouldn't be entirely surprised to see stepping up, just because people do love that film. Natalie Portman's chances seem very, very hot right off the bat, and then she's just receded a lot to me. This is obviously
that movie.
This is Emma Stone.
Yeah, that movie didn't. Jackie did not do enough, and I think Meryl Streep being nominated is kind of a no-brainer. And I think the movie was a better film than Jackie easily, but also it's a pretty standard like.
If Meryl does a movie, she gets nominated.
Yeah, and also it's that biopic of a quirky character. It's kind of a shoo-in of a nomination, you know. But again, for the same reasons that I think Ryan Gosling is going to win, it's got to be Emma Stone.
Yes.
Okay, that one was way easy. No Amy Adams. Amy Adams didn't even get a nomination.
It's one of the biggest snubs of the year.
Yeah.
But she's not
for
there.
either Arrival or Nocturnal Animals.
Yeah, it's almost like they canceled each other out.
Yeah.
in terms
They're like,
of the
we got to put
nomination
Meryl
votes.
in here. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she made that speech at the Globes. We got to put her in here. Best Director, Damien Chazelle, obviously La La Land. Mel Gibson, Hacksaw Ridge. Barry Jenkins for Moonlight. Kenneth Lonergan for Manchester by the Sea. And Denis Villeneuve for Arrival.
Are we still saying that wrong?
No. Point is, I don't think he's going to win this. I mean, it's going to be Damien Chazelle.
Yep.
Right?
I think it's a two-man race.
Yeah.
Between Damien Chazelle and Barry Jenkins. This is one of those ones where I can easily see the Academy diverting between Best Picture and Best Director.
Yeah, it could be a split year.
I've seen La La Land 5 times. I had an emotional reaction to it every time I've seen it. I might see it a 6th or 7th time. I'm very fearful for what happens when I get my hands on the Blu-ray. But that is not a perfect movie. There's a lot of flaws in it. There's a lot of flaws in the way that it is shot. There are some scenes where the color is weird. Damien Chazelle's kind of a sloppy genius. I mean, he's, in some ways it makes the film almost more endearing and gives it a little bit of a dreamy quality, maybe. I think that the director's branch will look at those things and be like, man, if I'd had the cameraman, if that'd have been me, I'd have done this and I'd done that. Yeah. It kind of works. It's like tumbling down the stairs and landing on your feet. Right. But I think that could, if anything is going to dent his chances, it's the fact that there are some imperfections in the movie that to a regular audience might not be a big deal, but to the directing branch and to the producing branch will be like, oh man, I just can't reward that.
Yeah, I would love to see Barry Jenkins win. I would love it. I don't know it's going to happen though. Like again, we keep talking about the La La Land machine. I think out of the 14 nominations, the 5 or 6 or whatever that it won't win are going to come from the second tier of
exactly.
awards. So.
I think in this case, for me, the should win is Moonlight and the will win is La La Land. Yeah. I think that it just La La Land, in terms of these upper tier, high profile categories, it can't be stopped.
Yeah.
But like Argo was a good example of it. Ben Affleck didn't even get nominated for that film. That's how far apart the Academy was in terms of who's the best director and what's the best film. So I do think the split is possible. It is a very difficult feat indeed to make a film that subtle and that quiet have that much impact. Yeah. And the triptych nature of it with the different actors was something to pull off. So it's a tricky one. I don't think this one's a lock. I think this one's up for grabs.
I don't think it's going to happen. There's part of me that's rooting for La La Land to only win like 3. Like, because I think
that's where I am, but that's how I feel about the movie. I feel like it's very overhyped. It's fine. I just don't think it deserves.
Well, it's been fun.
Sit back down. Sit back down. It sounds like we have a soft commitment to Damien Chazelle here.
Yeah, on directing.
But like not
with
really
a possible chance for Barry Jenkins, which I mean, I hope you're right. I hope you are right.
If Lonergan's going to win for anything, it's going to be screenplay. He's not going to win director. And Mel Gibson.
Oh right.
Hacksaw Ridge. We kind of
should just be happy to be nominated.
Yes.
Yeah, he needs.
I mean, is that what it is? Maybe just a little kind of tip
it is,
to the hey, welcome back.
I think this is him being all the way back. I mean, he's had to rebuild himself, and to a lot of people, he'll never be all the way back.
Which
but
is
I
why
think
he won't win.
Right, but I think exactly, unless he makes something which he obviously has the time and talent and juice left to do. There's a lot of miles left on that.
So, Best Picture. 9 movies in Best Picture. I have been...
This is grinding your gears again, I guess.
No, well, I'm happier about it.
The 10.
I'm happier about it this year. But when they expanded the field to 10, 5-6 years ago, or has it even been that long? And then they only do 6 or 7 movies. I'm like, why did you expand it to 10 for? But there's the bylaws of how they pick them are strange.
Well,
right?
It's the system at first was that they were just going to go with 10 and they picked 10. And they filled it out, and you've got movies like The Dark Knight to come in. And that was kind of the whole purpose. Yeah. They changed it to the preferential ballot where during the nominations vote, you get 5 choices. And you rank them, you're top to bottom. And basically, the formula is this crazy celestial algorithm that nobody fully understands. Right. Since they implemented that system, there has never been 10, and it is almost mathematically impossible for it to happen. I do believe that if there had been a 10th movie, and this will never come out because this is a very closely guarded secret, that it would have been Deadpool. Yeah. I think that there's no doubt. I mean, I just don't think there's another movie that's out there that would have.
You need a certain number of first place votes to make it in there.
That's why it's almost never going to happen.
And so I'm sure Deadpool got a ton of 3 through 5s.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if it got more 5s than any other movie.
Yeah, in history.
Yeah, but but nobody was putting that as number one,
Right.
and that's why it wasn't going to sneak
So it
in.
wasn't
And if a
made.
couple people were just going to be Bugs Bunny about it and put Deadpool as number one just to get it in there, then it might have happened. But that's why the category is set up the way that it is.
Right.
It's weird, and it's too hard to understand. They really ought to simplify it.
And I would just as soon, I would be happy for the Dark Knights of the world to be tossed into the Best Picture.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
last year we had Mad Max Fury Road, so that was
Yeah.
kind of refreshing. But this year we have exclusively Oscar movies.
And there's something to be said for movies that sort of transform stale genres. Fresh takes on old stuff, like, let's at least recognize it. Like, there's no reason to not recognize it, especially if you have 3 blank spots in the... Anyway, soapbox over. This year there's 9, so I feel better about it. Arrival, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge again. Very surprised to see that one in there. Hell or High Water, Hidden Figures, La La Land, Lion, Manchester by the Sea, and Moonlight. I think, look, Manchester by the Sea is a movie I never need to see again. But
Yeah.
I watched it and I was like, this is a great film, full of really, really great performances. It had that great balance of really tragic emotion and moments of really great dark humor. That's just Kenneth Lonergan's thing. That's just
Yes.
what he does. So I thought it was a great film, and I think it's a layup of a Best Picture type.
Yes, absolutely.
I thought that the minute I walked out of it at Sundance last year and just called it a masterpiece, which is a word I do not throw around lightly, and I don't like when other people throw around lightly, but this movie deserves it. In my estimation, the build, the twist, the payoff, and then you don't really realize what it was about the whole time until you've had some time to think about it, and you've walked away from it and you've digested it, and you realize that it has this incredibly dark theme of grief is not something that you completely finish. It's summed up in that moment when he says, "I can't beat it." And it's just, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about that.
I feel like all the things that you just said kind of were like maybe 30 minutes worth of a movie, though, towards the end. That was my problem. It kind of just, for me, it just maybe it's not my cup of tea.
Took a minute to
it
get
just
there.
took too long to like, why am I watching this?
I'll give you this. I did watch it a second time. I saw it here in LA a few months ago, and sitting through it a second time was not necessary.
I don't ever need to go back to it. I really don't.
Its power is in the reveal.
Yeah.
And when you know the reveal is coming, you're sort of ticking down the moments to it, and so it's one of those movies where I think similar to The Revenant, in that way that seeing it the first time was a powerful experience, and then you're like, I'm good though.
Yeah. Got it. Message received.
Yeah, I'm on board for anything Kenneth Lonergan does. I'll watch it at least once. With Manchester, for me, it's only once. I really enjoyed it. It's one of those, like, you feel your heart going like this,
it's like,
and I don't need to go back there.
Yeah.
As far as what will win, I've been basically saying it this entire roundtable.
Yeah.
It's going to be La La Land. I would love it if it were Moonlight or Hell or High Water. Those, for me, were my 2 favorite movies of 2016. It's really hard for me to pick one over the other if I had to. No, I'm not gonna. But it's gonna be La La Land anyway, so it's moot.
That'll be a different video when we make you pick one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think La La Land obviously is the favorite. I think Moonlight does have a shot. I think Manchester, and I think Hell or High Water might have the lowest odds of the 4 that have a chance to win. Like Arrival, I'm really glad that it's getting all of the attention that it did get. But I don't think it's going to win. Fences, same deal. I think if it's going to win anything, it'll win for the acting categories. Lion, nobody's really talking about. Hidden Figures is a great story, but I think it's one of those, again, like, I'm glad it got attention because it's a great story and it's well told. Hacksaw, no, just no. Frankly.
No.
Like, if Hacksaw Ridge wins this year, that will be so confusing.
Yeah, I think, again, just going back to the Mel Gibson issue, the nominations are his forgiveness. I don't really see much else happening beyond that.
Yeah, he'll get to make more movies.
It's not going to win, but I was actually kind of like somewhat happy to see it being on the list, honestly. I thought it was a pretty good movie, so I was like, okay.
I still need to check it out, but I've heard nothing but great things. And, the question of whether he was a good director was never the question. It was just all the extraneous things that have basically ruined his reputation and career.
I've got 2 ways of looking at this, which are completely at odds with each other, and I can't reconcile them. One is that, don't overthink this. La La Land is winning this in a runaway. But overthinking it is fun. And if I want to overthink it, there's a million different ways to go. Obviously, Moonlight would be not that much of an upset, frankly.
No.
And I think that a lot of people would be very, very happy to see that happen. The Academy doesn't like a coronation. They like to think that and again, I'm speaking for 6,400 people here.
Sure.
But my understanding of that voting body is very much that they are a little rambunctious, they're a little rebellious, they're also a little predictable, and they'll probably vote with their hearts here and go La La Land. But man, if they're thinking like, I don't like the fact that this is seeming like it's going one way, I'm going to vote another way. It's kind of the Trump Brexit vote mentality. Then I could, this feels like one of those years where something goofy could happen. That doesn't just belong to Moonlight, though. I mean, once again, Manchester by the Sea, but more so Hell or High Water. The Academy loves that movie. Yeah. They're crazy about it.
But look, all that to say, yeah, I think you're right. It's La La Land.
Don't overthink it.
It's just going to be La La Land. So, you can stop watching the Academy Awards at some point.
Unless there's a backlash against everyone just kind of rolling over and saying, oh, it's La La Land. So maybe you're onto something there.
Yeah, I do feel like they do. There is a little bit of a rebellious spirit about the Academy sometimes, and that could be very much the benefit of one of these other movies.
All right, those are our picks. Chisel them in stone.
Notarize them.
Yeah, we got to I'll go get the stamp on this video. Let us know what you think about our picks in the comments down below. What are some of what are the movies you're rooting for? What do you think is going to win? Is it going to be all La La Land? Let us know down there, and click like, subscribe, stick around CineFix for more movie stuff, and we will see you guys next time. We don't have the rights for that. We can't.
Oh, sorry.
We're going to get in a lot of trouble.